Okay, so I'm planning a sockeye trip here shortly, and always behind the scenes there's a lot of things that happen. One of the things that happens with any fishing is tying up tackle and getting tackle ready to go. And sockeye is one that seems like it's labor intensive because you go through lots of hooks and lots of things, and so it's kind of a dead day right now. There's not a lot of fish coming up in the rivers. I'll talk about that on a different video, but so we're going to spend today tying tackle and getting ready for future trips. And so I'm going to show you a little bit about tying up tackle for sockeye, at least on the Kenai, and then I'll also show you some stuff about the Russian River as well. The upper Kenai River, where the Russian River is, has different regulations, so I'll show you a couple things about that. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with it. On the Russian River, or the upper Kenai, the hooks that you use can only have 3/8 of an inch between the shank of the hook and the tip of the hook. This is a standard fly. You can buy them all over in Alaska. They come in different colors and blah, blah, blah. I don't know that colors make so much difference. What I will say about colors is I found that the best, I like to use red in the middle of the day when there's a lot of sun. And late in the day, I like to use Chartreuse. This one has some Chartreuse and white on it. I won't say that it makes a huge amount of difference. I think it does because I've developed that preference. But also what I'll say is when the sun is high in the sky and you can see really well, you can see this thing in the water way too much, and I think it scares fish away. Red is one of the first colors to go away in the color spectrum, and so this one, when there's high light, is I won't say invisible, but you don't see it in the water as well, and I don't think fish see it as well. At night, when it's real low light, it is nice once in a while to see your tackle and see where it's coming out, and so you can see this, but I've actually had fish hit this a lot, and so I think that that's why I've developed those preferences. So that's the upper Kenai and the Russian River. On the Kenai, the lower Kenai River, where we do a lot of sockeye fishing, there's not a hook restriction, and so people end up tying their own fly, quote unquote fly. And so we're going to go ahead and tie one of those. And so first, it's nice to have a little spool of line that you can do leader out of. I'm going to start with about 6 feet, and for me, I'm 6 feet tall roughly, and so if I go, you can't see what I'm doing, but if I go from stretch my arms all the way out, that's about 6 feet. And in camp, where I tie a lot of my stuff, I have a pair of scissors because it makes it easy. I like to pre-tie all my stuff so I don't waste time on the river tying up. I've seen people who break something off and they have to stop and tie up a new rig, and that's, 2-3 minutes that you're not on the river fishing. And so it's easiest to tie it all ahead of time. What I do, and I'm not saying this is the very best in the world, what I do is I tie a standard egg loop. And you probably saw this in one of my other videos, but so you put the line through the hook and then wrap the main line that's going out to your pole. I'm going to wrap that around the shank of the hook about 10 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then I'm going to take this line, I'm going to stick it up the opposite direction on my hook now. There. And I'm going to take 5 more wraps around this with that first line that I was using. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to pull that tight. And that's probably just because it's a fishing knot that I know that you could tie on. And they call this a pre-snailed knot. You buy a lot of knots like this. You could hook eggs on there and pull this tight, but we're not going to do that for sockeye. And so now I have this. Now I'm going to turn this plain hook into a fly. And again, in the middle of the day, I like to use orange or red because it goes away on the color spectrum pretty quickly. So I take this and I'm going to just tie it right here in the shank of the hook. And this is the classic Kenai Fly now. And then what happens is you're pulling this through the water. This, number one, it makes it a legal fly. But when you're pulling this through the water like this creates drag, and it holds your hook just like that in the water. In the late part of the day or early morning, I like to use Chartreuse, and so I also have Chartreuse line parked where you can put in boats and stuff, so that's what that noise is back there. And so I'll use this one, but I also have seen people take this same hook or same setup, and they like to, so we call this the Kenai Coachman just for fun. They'll take the egg loop out and tie the line in there and tighten it up, and that one we call the Royal Kenai Coachman, just for entertainment purposes. I don't know that it makes a difference. I've always done it this way and had good success. So we'll see you on the river sockeye fishing. So now that I've pre-tied this, you know, you just can't throw this in the boat or throw it in your backpack or whatever. So what I do is I have these leader holders. This makes life pretty easy. Let me show you how to use this. I'm going to go to the dead end away from the hook, and each of these has a little piece of yarn sticking out, and there's a slice in there. Well, I'm going to stick this on here, hold it with my thumb, and pull it through that slice. Once it's pulled through the slice, that'll disappear, and then I'm going to just wrap this line around here, and then pull this tight and stick it into there. And each of these will hold like 11. I'll take 2 or 3 on the river, and if I'm fishing with my family, it's not uncommon that I would empty 2 or 3 in a day, and so then you end up having to tie them all at night. And I have different colors and different setups for what I'm doing. And that way, you know, in the early morning you might go to this, and later you might go to this, and then I have some other colors that I'll do. My daughter likes pink, so I tie up some pink ones for her. Does it work better than the other colors? Probably not. But that's what she likes. We also have run purple, and we have a ceremonial fireweed color that we like to use for fun. That's about this color here. But we'll tie those up, and that way when you're on the river you don't have to stop when you break off or whatever, and again spend 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 minutes getting your gear out and tying something. You can just tie another one of these on and start fishing right away. The more time you spend in the river, the more fish you're going to catch. All right, so that task is done. I probably have 30 leaders tied up there. So hopefully there's a few salmon tied up on there. Again, we'll see you on the river.